Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Job Shop USA. My name is Keith. I'm your host, and we're in my job shop here today. Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas coming up. You know, I just put the calculator down because I was figuring out this lathe came off of the assembly line 16 years before I was born. And to have this brand new to me, I almost feel like I'm 16 years old again, getting my very first lathe, which that would be that would be totally awesome if we all turned 16 and we got our first lathe, right? And it was in brand new condition. Hey, you know, you could be giddy about a lot of things, but something about new machines to have in your shop is just unbelievable. Okay, so I've been working. I have a lot of stuff that's already done, and I'm going to bring you up to speed on it. And then we'll come back and I'll continue on here for the closing of the video. All right, here's how it went. Here we go. I got the shaft supported out here on a 2x4 on the bench there, and we'll start assembling our shaft. We're going to leave this collar on, and we'll be able to put that through the bore when we're done. All right, so we're just basically going to be feeding this shaft through each of our components, and we'll have to go to the table and get each one of those as we're going and feed them on through here. Oh, and we want to make sure this ring is in the right order, okay, or in the right direction here. Okay, and it is. Okay, that goes up in there. Oh. All right, and this goes in here, and that is in the right direction as well. And this goes through here. All right. All right, let's just make sure that, oh, I did forget a collar right in there. This collar thrusts against here, and this side here goes against the other side of that center bearing. There we go. Okay. Got to make sure every one of these gets over to the steps. And there we go. Okay. Okay. Oh, before we go too far, we're fine over here, okay, but we do have components over here, and we have a shift fork up here, so we have to make sure that we have a gear, and then the cog, and then another gear. So we're going to back it up once again, and okay, all right, now we're going to get the next side over here. Okay, I see what gear it is. This is the gear that thrusts against that side. And then once this gear here is in place, it has a ring here, and that's where that pin gets to go in there. Okay, and we're going to put that, we'll set that pin up here. All right. There we go. Okay, and okay, this is the thrust side here. So that was holding it. This is the open side. It'll go on like that. All right, just making sure that we've got that. All right, now there's a cog that goes in here, and it goes in this direction here. You notice that anytime that these are together, you see the way they ramp, and they ramp against each other, and then when they engage like that. Okay, and you can always see the full contact on that side there. All right. All right. Now the next setup, and we'll probably have to back it up again. No, I think, yeah, we will. Because there's a big part of the gear that comes in here, but maybe something like that. Okay, and there is a gear spacer that goes in on this. So that gear spacer goes like that. And the gear. Okay. Maybe we have a dilemma here. I don't know. Let's see. We're going to back up a little bit more here, and let's see if we can go ahead and put that shifter way forward, and okay, let's move that. Okay, all right, tricky. All right, and gear cog goes back in here. May have to back it up. Okay, we got it. Engage. Spacer ring. All right, now the next gear. Okay. get my flashlight, just make sure that I'm getting these pieces up over here, and also making sure none of the rings are dropped down in between there. Okay, our problem child, I believe, is right there. Oh. All right, that lifted up on there. Yep. Okay, now the next big step here. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, almost to the next one. There we go. Okay. Okay, okay, this is where, okay, this spline. Okay. There, okay, started to slide, okay. Okay, all right, slide, okay, and I don't see the blue mark yet. Okay, all right, so next collar has got to go up on the shoulder here. This is this one right here. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, and okay. There we go. got to get those teeth lined up exactly perfect, and probably okay. All right, there we go. We were pushing up against there, and I just wasn't able to get it in there. Okay. All right, now we got everything sliding. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to be sliding it mostly that away first. Okay, there's our mark there, and there's our mark there for that ring. We're going to have to rotate it around. Okay. There it is right there. Ouch. Okay. And there's the first dog point right there. All right, let's see if I can get it centered. Okay. Oh, the other thing that I noted, I found out the square head set screws for the yokes is so that once we have each shaft in there and you have that yoke centered, you can reach in there with a box wrench and tighten the square head without having to force and get an Allen in there. So that was the reason why I didn't think I had the set screws to go in there, because they were square head dog point type set screws in there, and or cone shaped. All right, now these are dog points here, and that's what we're putting in, and we know that we're lined up and everything else, so we're going to set each one in here, carefully holding them so that you don't drop them down on the bottom. And then okay, we're going to go around here, and there's the next one. Okay, let's go around to the next one. There it is right there. Now all three of these set screws were missing out of here, or one or two of them were missing out of here. They weren't in there. Okay, and make sure that this is tight. Okay, and all right, there's the next one. And the last one, which was the first one. Okay, and now I'm also going to take a punch. And I just want to swallow the thread on the side here so that it becomes like an anti-lock, or I mean an anti. That was a little bit aggressive there, but it'll get the point there. Okay. they won't fall out. All right, now that shift cog is going to be going in there, but we can't do anything with the shift cogs until until we get the shaft up in the bearings and rotating proper. And just trying to tap that bearing back into the bore there. Okay, now the next thing we'll have to do is put the pin in the next line of which will be in there, but this needs to go that way, so probably pretty close to right there. Okay, I can put that collar inside the end now, just so I don't forget it. Okay. You know, by putting that bearing race and cup, or the plate on the end, the flange on the end, may be beneficial to hold that in so that I can push things this way so I can get to that collar ring right there. So we're gonna pause right here. As far as our forward momentum, we're gonna set up the flange and the bearing and the cup on the back side here so that we have something to push up against here, and then we can work our way to the other end here. All right, with that plate in there, I was able to take and joggy this gear back this way here, and we can see now the pinhole right there. Okay, and now we just need to line up our pin with that opening right there. That's what I need. I needed that. Okay, I'm gonna rotate this. Rotate this ring here. Okay. Okay, rotate the ring 180. Okay, let's see if that hole lines up a little better this time. Oh yeah, well there's room for it to slide. Okay, so something's holding it up there, and we're gonna get a bigger punch to go in there and pull it on over. Yeah, we almost got it. Just being stubborn. Roll it over 180. Let's check it out. Okay. All right, we're gonna rotate it 180 again, because this actually looks like Oh, like perfect, right? Okay, we're gonna put the cotter pins in there now. And the other one we got is over here. So I might as well slip that one in. Okay, let me just make sure that I don't have that one 180 off. I'm rotating it around. Okay. There we go. When you put it together on the bench and you can get it set in each of those ways, I didn't mark those, you know, for speed, and it takes you so much to get this thing in here. So, okay, we're gonna hunt up some cotter pins, put those cotter pins in there, and then we'll put the forward cap on there, and we're gonna check the thrust and the in-play, and set the shims on that. I got out my helicoil kit. This is 1/2 inch 13, and we have a full 1-inch insert we're going to be able to put in here. So we set this up in the lathe in our closet on our new Bison chuck. We put a 1/4 inch tool bits back here, held that up there, and we grabbed on the inside. There's a machine surface inside, and it turns nice and true. We took our standard bit and we just kissed that across there. Remember I said there was a raised part? Okay, you saw that break away there? We didn't stake our chuck in there tight enough. All right. All the way through. Those threads really were abused pretty hard. Yeah, besides that little bit of chip out right there, it looks pretty good. I might actually come in here and kiss this with the chamfer tool here before we do the tap. Help if we put it in gear. Okay. Pretty close to making it smooth and equal all the way around. Okay, we've gone all the way through. Okay, and we're gonna make sure that this is exactly 1 inch. Okay, this measures like 900. There we go. Wasn't quite started right. All right. I don't need a big crescent. Is that 5/16? Close enough, right? Well, that can't be too much more perfect than that right there. Short of completely filling that in and re-tapping it out to a ½ inch, I think that's going to be a super fix. And actually, I just inside one thread right there, so the start of that thread is still got a good support there. 1 inch long out here. All the force is going to be that way. Perfect. All right, here's our brake, and we're going to have our rod come through just slightly, and we need to drill down through this for a taper pin fit. Number 3 is our taper pin. So we want to fit this in, and we want to hold it up. So instead of putting like a parallel into here and then pulling it out and not having any support and making sure that we're sound, I like to take on round objects, use a round object for your parallel. And we're going to rotate or clock this as square as we can to that key. We measured this diameter as 2 3/8, so half of that's 1.1875. We already came over to center, so now we know we're going to be going down through their center. Now, in a taper pin, we're going to step drill it. I have a couple different size drills here to go ahead and go all the way through, halfway down, maybe a little bit in between there. We're going to measure as we go and plan out the depth before we start reaming it. And then we have a number 3 reamer that we're going to be running in there and reaming out the hole straight on through here. Now, this rod here could move around. It's tight, but it still can move. I can force it to move around. We're going to put a V-block and then clamp the V-block to this so we secure all the components that we're drilling through so they won't move anywhere until we're done reaming out the hole. All right, we clamped it up here. This wasn't right anymore. We can't rotate, we can't move that shaft. And the shaft is extra long. We do have a little bit sticking out here, but we figure might as well have a little nub sticking out just in case you have to grab that in for something. There's plenty of room in the gearbox for it to be. Now we're coming down here and we're just kind of eyeballing. This is basically 3/4 wide here, so we're just looking for half of it. Okay, we made it all the way through. Okay, I set this at 185, and I'm going down about there, so we can safely go down at least halfway in the hole with this drill bit, and we'll still have plenty of material to ream, but we'll have enough, or enough taken out to make it easy, or less work. Okay, if I remember right, these drills don't run real true. I was right. It will follow the hole though. We could step it again, but I'm not going to bother. Okay, and I want to get a tap handle on here. So I'm going to lower this down a little bit more, and we'll follow it up with a tap follower here. Set up with the tap follower here, spring loaded, and hey, that was a pretty good shot right in the hole there, huh? Okay. There we go. We have two number 3 reamers, and we picked our sharpest one here. This is the one that I had in there. And there's our number 3 taper pin, and we're just going to work a little bit at a time here. Okay, and then we're going to clear it out. We rotate it as we pull up. All right, and we got a load of chips in there. Going to clear out the flutes. I'm just going to bring up the oil container here because I'm just going to dip it in there. It's going to take a while. You don't want to be in a race. I like that because I think by the time it taps in there, I'm going to leave that right there. I need to do a tap fit on it anyway. And this still comes out and go back in. Excellent. All right, we're set up 13 inches, or 13 threads per inch there. There's our stop in. We're all comfortable. We're set here with our dial. And we always like to start out and make a practice run, just make sure that we're getting the right thread. And that looks good. Okay, come on back here. Come to our sweet spot. Here we go. The sweet thing about 13 threads per inch is 100 thousandths double depth, so just an easy number to remember. Oil can's getting low. Okay. I didn't want to try to crowd the camera, so I put you over there on the far side. And this is only like 6 cuts here. Okay, that's a total of 60 double depth there. Now we're just gonna bring it into like 5 thousandths cuts, a couple of them. 3 of them to be exact here. We're just looking at the tailstock, and we're gonna have to turn a new Acme thread for it. It's gonna be a project coming up. Oh, We're like 5 shy, and we're just gonna take a free cut here, meaning we're just not gonna, we want it to cut anything that's not been cutting. Spring pressure. And we'll check the fit with our part after this. And I'll address the camera there because the cord hit your line of sight here. I'm going to check another 1/2 inch nut because I don't want to make this looser. I like the way that this was fitting here. The last thing we need to address ourselves with is the keyway that this slides back and forth on. They had a key set in here. In fact, actually, you can see, I'm going to show you just how crude this key was. You can see how it was like, it was going like this in there with the torque. And they had 2 threaded holes in there. This is ground rough here. Let me show you in the keyway. I have these locked in here because what I did, instead of having them thread through here and thread into the bottom of the keyway and then have this thing loose in here. Also, it's very, very hard to screw these in with the limited space that's in the area that this hub slides in and out of. Especially now that I have the second shaft in place. I could have had a little more ease, but it's still, I'm going to have everything done. If you need to work on this and you want to pull this out, you can lift the lid and do a few things and you can get this out without having to move the long intermediate shaft. So that's my whole point is you got to be able to repair it. All right, so this rocks extremely in here. I have a nice piece of finished off 1/4 inch steel. It's tight in there no matter where you put it. All right, my thought was, because we also have to, when we slip this in place, we're also sliding this bearing on, and it slides all the way up to this position here. Okay, you got your and then you have the cone that's going in the other direction for this. So I modified these, locked them in down below this surface, but I left them in there because I'm actually going to use them to keep the key from sliding this way. So I'm going to take center to center, and then I'm going to drill a counterbore in 2 spots so it'll sit over the top of those and down in the groove, and then it can hold that key in place and be brandy new and really tight. That's what I'm working on right now. I put the parallel in here and dropped the key in there, tighten it up. I got my pointer in here and I'm just moving it back and forth until I eyeball the leading edge of the key, because I know that that sets in there. All right, and I guessed about 200 thousandths or so would be good clearance, and about 1/8 of an inch or a little bit deeper. Once I got down to that point right there, okay, so Set that at 0. Okay. And there's 125 right there. 8 7/8, and we kind of look at that, and it looks the same here. Okay, so we set that in here. Boom. Okay, let's come over 878. Looks pretty good. Looks good by that too. Okay. And the same depth. Okay. I like that. Let's check the fit. I'm going to see if just one will fit over that. Yeah, it goes down on it. Pretty good. Yeah. We knew that this key was a little tight over here on this end. See what I mean? Okay. So this is something we don't want to be loose once we get it in place. So okay, we got it down in there. Move the calculator. Got just a little tiny tight spot right there. I'm just gonna I'm not gonna worry about it if it's pretty close. Pretty close. This is pretty close to going all the way. I'm gonna install it like that. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. I think I'm ready. Um, we took we marked an arrow on there so we know which way the dowel or the taper pin goes through there. Also on this part here, the rod's going to sit there. Here's the bearing we're going to slide on there. To get this in here, we actually have to angle it like that, and then we can rotate it around like that, and if we want to, we can put it out of the way for like that until we set that key on there. And then after we get it in there, then we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna get the yoke in here around it and get our pins in there. Let's do one thing at a time. We also have the seal in the flange, which goes on there. So we'll oil that up, and I have the gasket tacked to the one side of this ring here as well. It's a 10,000ths gasket, and we already have that calculated and figured out. And I have a soft spot there so that the paint doesn't get ruined, even though you're not going to see the paint ever again after the pulley and stuff gets on there. But if I ever have to pull it apart, I will see it. Okay, shaft goes in into this part here. Then the bearing's got to slide on here. And if you do it just right, slides on there like that. And we need to have it. I learned you got to have it on the other side of that gear right there. And there you go. All right, now we can see that and this. I told you I was going to lap that. I did. And just like that. We're going to rotate it to the side so we can take our knips and clamp it. They are still set. Let's just see if I can get them in here just right. No. I fibbed. Okay, and we're going to do a test slide. We're not going to leave it on here, but we're going to test slide it. Got to rotate the key around till it becomes in line right there. Awesome. But it does go all the way in, and I can pop it loose and slide it out. So I'm happy with that, okay? And of course, it's never going to come back that far, but I'm glad I didn't make that any longer. Okay, I'm happy with that. I do want to go ahead and while I have it apart here, I'm squirting some oil in there. That makes it pretty good. All right, let's see if we can get this in here. This goes down in here like that. It doesn't flip all the way over, but okay, so we got a 3 and a 3 and a 3 and a 3, and let's just see if there was. On one of the other ones there, it had a little stamp on it and let you know which one it went on there. I think this one here is actually pretty equal. This goes over here. I know the new one went on that side there, so the old one has to go on this side here, and this is tight spots for my hand, not tight spots for the part. Okay. All right, I like this lining up pretty good with the hole. All right, this was the used one. All right, I will need to get my 1/8 inch Allen, so we're going to rotate that so it stays like that, hopefully. I'm going to probably have to just do this like the vertical ones there, and Okay, and you got to kind of get it lined up. Okay, I see it rotate around. That's kind of the cue. I'm not going to tighten that one in or goop it in yet because I want to make sure that I have both of them in there and that everything fits fine. Okay, if I get that in there, it'll roll over like that. So here again. I'm good at jigsaw puzzles too. Okay, I believe the new one went in on this side here. And the chances of that staying in all the way around to this side over here, gotta be pretty slim unless I can roll my hand around like this again. Okay. And one in there just like this. Except for that. And that's why I got this little scriber. There we go. Okay, now I can hold this up here, pull the set screws out, Loctite them in there, screw them back in tight. That's what I'm going to do. I think there's enough on there. Okay, the other one. Ah, shit. Okay. Okay, now these hang upside down. I definitely want to stake those. If I can just get one good stake in here, it should be fine. Okay. Okay. Okay, our arrow is going down for our dowel pin, or pin. It's right there. I might as well get that in there right now. And we need to put the rod in. The rod goes down. Okay, here comes the rod. Okay, there's the hole. Arrow's facing down. Okay, we can drop this in. We cut a little bit off the bottom, so the amount that was sticking out was sticking down. So when we tap that in there, it should be pretty flush, if not a little bit lower, and then we can stake over the top of the large end here. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our brake all the way in so it's stout. And let's take a broader punch. When it gets late, my aim is broader. Okay. I like that. Okay. That's in there good. One more tap. All right, and I'm not going to take a punch, but a prick punch. I'm going to just take a regular punch here, and I just want to flatten it. Okay. That just puts a little bit of like a diamond prong over it. I like that. Okay. Wipe that, wipe that. That looks good. Okay, and the shifter works good. All right, that shaft is still loose in there. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna oil the seal. And let's put the flange on now. Don't forget the bearing cup. Okay. Now, you get seals. Every time you add something else, it becomes more and more firm. And you can feel more components matching up all together. This is the actual linkage here, and there's another taper pin here. Okay, we're done with that key. All right. We got two Woodruff keys we got to come up with, and this gets a taper pin in here and a set screw in there, and we're going to be bringing it in from this side here. So we're going to go ahead and stake this and put that in together. All right, I like that. Okay, it's going to go through here. We need two Woodruff keys there, and we'll have a Woodruff key on this outside here. And then we got a dog point square head. It's going to go in there. Okay, I think I got it now. Okay, that should go in there fine. Yep. Okay, and a little rubber handle here. Yeah. Okay. All right, another Woodruff key out here. Let me make sure this arm goes on here. Okay, it does. Okay, and nice. Push that in there. Hey, I can see down through that roll pin hole or that taper pin hole. That looks good. All right, I'm seeing the brake operate right here, and I'm seeing the rod going in and out over here. I'm going to move the camera there so you can see that action. For right now, I'm lightly tapping that pin in there just so it tightens it up a little bit. And I just got to make sure that my fingers and stuff here are loose, and this thing will set fine. And then we'll be able to put this set screw in here and lock the thrust or the alignment with that. Definitely locks it. Awesome. Now you can see this going in and out. It doesn't take much. And the brake there as well. So this arm just barely moves. And of course, this linkage goes down on the back, goes through, goes to a bevel gear, goes with the longitudinal handles on the carriage over there. And that was the handles that were broken. Okay, before I get going on this end over here, if you notice over here, you got the tailstock sitting on here, and it is just sitting on here. The bottom base slides on the lathe itself on the bed, and then the upper base adjusts side to side and has a lot of other features on it as well, clamping the quill and all that. Nothing is assembled on it. It's just sitting here. And through the last couple weeks here or so, I actually took this in the other room and cleaned it up, put it in a sandblast, the bead blaster, and then I put a coat of primer on it, and then I did some Bondo fill, because when you strip something down, you actually strip off the filler that they use to smooth the surface of the castings out so that it looks pretty, like we all like our machines to look. But more so than anything else, that smoothness is so that when it gets oil and dirt, and we can wipe it off and be quick about it. And that's the function of it, okay? And I'm fond of this gray, if you haven't noticed already. And I've saw a lot of grays in my earlier career, being in the naval shipyards. We had 15 different grays that you were around. So, but this smoke gray, I really like and favor. The other thing I did today, and I couldn't help myself because, because I know here soon I'm going to have the shaft in, and then of course I'm going to put that brand new 3-job here, and the tailstock is going together, although I will have to make a new nut and a new lead screw for it because it was pretty chewy. And we know what that is by the video that I created, chewy. And so I got on and I went on the Dorian site, and because I have a handful of Dorian holders right now and I favor them, but they also have modern dovetail locking tool posts that actually can swing around and adjust into 15 different locations and stuff. And so anyway, I got myself a tool post for this thing so that I can set it up here. So, you know, here soon I'm gonna have the chuck tool post there. Even though I'm not functioning, you got to come into you got to come into your shop and you got to look at it, because I figure if you get all of that on there, what more motivation do you need to keep working on it, right? Although, you know, I'm progressing pretty good right now. All right. So you saw put in the shaft, and you saw so far getting the brake system intact here, and we've got the rod connected with the taper. So now we're ready to come around to this side and assemble the clutch and figure out the length of our rod and everything that needs to go together with that before it's finalized. Okay, this is our first part that slides over. And it basically, there's only 2 bearings in here. They get locked in with snap rings, and that actually holds the cluster to the rotating shaft, okay? Because it's supposed to be just freewheeling. And I ran the belts around down to the motor now, because when this thing is so close to these ears right here, that you've got to slide it out past there, or unbolt the 3 bolts holding this shield on and lift this up. So if your lathe was all together and you just wanted to change some belts, you could just loosen the 3 bolts and lift this up. You got to hold it up somehow, because it doesn't come all the way off, because it's solid against this back here, even though it has the opening for the 3 shaft bores going into the case, the long intermediate, short intermediate, and the drive pulley. It has like a little triangle cut out there. Okay, with this in place all the way in there, the next piece is our hub. This is the main hub, and of course you got to put the main hub key in here. Then this goes on over that, and it has 2 dog point sets that go in, and I got that one out so that I can eyeball it. If you haven't noticed in the video lately, the The air compressor is a lot quieter because I put on a new two-stage pump, and it is a lot quieter. Okay, got those tightened down into there. Okay, so that hub is now locked to the shaft, and the pulley and belts can flop all over the place when you rotate this around. I've got to adjust the motor down, and we'll be doing that at another time. Right now I just want to go ahead and put together our clutch and the finger assembly, because I want to finalize how far these threads are going to stick out and be able to trim those off. Okay, the next item that goes in here is our disc, and there's two sides here that I favor. All right, and here's our clutch disc. And we have a chewed out area, and we have a new area, and we like the new area, and they have a mark on here already how that went in there, and I've already fit it up, and it fits in here really nice. Okay, and this is the next part here. This has got the chewy on it, but I've lapped that, smoothed it all out, and this might take me a couple times, but I have been known to. Not today. I think it's how straight on you look at it, but it could just mean that it needs some light. There we go. Okay. Okay, here's our plunger and our spring, and I put a little paint on here, so now the paint keeping that plunger from going in there. I've already cleaned off the face and everything else, and now that works fine. I am going to pick up a new spring for that down at the hardware store. I just haven't made it down there again since. I don't know exactly where this is going to be, but and the next thing that screws on here, and this is going to need a little paint on here too. I'm probably going to have it somewhat on here. Okay, and I don't really know where that's going yet either. Okay. This is our linkage. Now, I didn't have any numbers or any marks on these. There is a couple things that I'd noticed, that this surface has been welded on and dressed over the years. So there's a chance that I might actually have to do something with that. Okay, gonna take a small pin. Well, I do see that I'm not on a flat. I'm actually a little preloaded there. So I think probably the new disc have given us a little bit of angle change there, because that flat definitely is not flat yet. It would go in even farther than that. So this moves, clamp, and it's solid. I always say by the time you get to the last one, you're always an expert. Or you get done with the job, you're an expert. All right. Okay. Not sure I'm happy with those rings right there. They had like a C-ring that crimped over them, and I might actually see if I can find something a little bit better than those. But for right now, it's okay. Okay, after looking at the contact tips on that clutch finger that we were just looking at, reminded me of one of the next things that we actually need to go through and rebuild, or if we need to refurbish it in any way, is the oil pump. And I have it in this box. This box here actually has the pump, and it has some oil lines, and it looks like it's got some screws and stuff like that. So I think maybe that's what holds this in here. There's a little bit of loss of felt there, and oh, here's the function here. Now on the main shaft there is a lobe, and the lobe runs on this finger right here. All right, and that area right there was built up. Looks like it might have been built up with some nyrod. If I need to build this up, I will use silicon bronze, or I would braze it. Just a comparable material to the ductile of the cast iron. This actually has a label down in there, and it's a C1946. Serial number is 30. So this, who knows if that 1946 is, it's a type C1946, but hey, that could have been so much. Long Island City, New York, all kinds of patents on it. It's Blair Lubricating Corporation. All right, so it still did function and all that, but we got to pull apart this whole unit right here, and we got to see if it needs some bellows in there, or a rubber seal, or what's our next 3D printed item? Who knows? All right, get back to your Thanksgiving, guys. Until next time, get her done. Thanks for visiting Job Shop USA.